Because I mentioned this morning that I've had training. I canceled Wednesday because I'm actually dealing with my mom today too, trying to get a transition, but to a nursing facility. But yeah, today was Friday Q&A. I guess we can have Q&A and a little bit of review. But did you have any questions, concerns? Because I know you.
The last meeting we had, which was Friday, I think Monday we had said that I'm not sealing the deal as far as once I talk to someone about it, transitioning from the phrase, is that something, something you think you would need? I'm not sealing the deal. What comes after that? Meaning, like, for example, the few guys that you've given me in the training to contact afterwards, to follow up to see if they, want the service, need the service, and try to negotiate it, I'm not getting from that point to the next point. So I still have absolutely 0 carriers.
Okay. So, now, I am also, I'm in the process of, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm in the process of doing I guess you would say, a kind of a call center thing myself, and my pricing point is going to be a little bit cheaper than other call centers that you may be familiar with. Where we actually get the carrier agreement profile, W-9, MC authority, and certificate of insurance returned from the carriers in the name of our clients, and our clients being other dispatchers who are having trouble getting carriers under agreement. Because I'm assuming once you get the carrier to return the agreement and all that stuff, you can pretty much take off from there as far as finding loads and things like that. So it's the point of getting the carriers going from there. So I've been discussing with a couple of potential business partners of doing a kind of a call center thing myself. Now, we won't manage the trucks for you. We'll basically get the carrier, like what I'm doing now with calling carriers, and they're saying, hey, yeah, I want an agreement, and I'll give them to you guys and then let you guys try to get those guys over. Instead of being a cold call, it's more of a warm call, but you're still having difficulty getting those carriers through to send you back the agreement and all the other documents and things like that. So I've noticed that. So what I've been doing is talking to some people, some business people, and say, okay, well, let's add an added service like a call center effect, but let's lower our pricing point and make it more affordable. Like, let's say $150 per truck. So if we get, we'll send, say I got the call center up and running. This house, it may be, got the call center up and running. We'll say, okay, Mr. Client, Mr. Dispatching Company, you're having a hard time finding trucks. We provide this service where we bring the trucks. All you got to do is let us know, what is the name of your company. If you have a logo, we'll go ahead and hook that up on the dispatch agreement profile, and then we'll reach out to the carrier. The carrier will send back the carrier will send back the dispatch agreement profile and other documents that's needed always to book a load, and then we invoice for that service, $150. We'll also send the dispatching company who hire us, the call center, the mini call center, to find that for them, a little form saying, hey, what equipment type are you wanting to start with, and how many do you want? You may not just want one. You may want 3. You may want one of each equipment type. So you may want one flatbed, one drive-in, and one reefer managed for your company starting out. So now you got 3 trucks, one of each equipment type. So that's what, 3 times 150, that's $450. So now for $450, you can get 3 trucks, and you'll have returned dispatch agreements back to you. So now it's up to you now to start doing that next step, finding loads for your carriers. So now you have those carriers back. So that's something that we're looking into now, like a small call center where we reach out to actually get those agreements back for our client our clients being the you guys, independent freight dispatchers who are having a hard time getting past that first stage in the process of being a independent freight dispatcher, which is getting the carriers under agreement. So that's what we're looking at. It's supposed to still be ironed out a little bit, but that's where we are. So, Selena, I don't know if that's something that you may be interested in considering or not. But at least it gets past that first stage for you guys, getting over that one hump. And the pricing point that I'm considering for the mini call center, now it may make other call centers a little bit angry, it may not, but competition runs the country, it runs the economy. So I want to make it affordable. So I would say, $150 per truck, $150 per truck. And you'll receive a form saying what equipment type do you want and how many. Now, starting off as a beginning company, I would assume that you would at least want 3, which is like one of each type. Or if you can't afford that 3, then whichever one you choose, then you would choose the easiest one to start to work with, which I think may be a flatbed carrier, and then the dry van, and then the reefer. The reefers are the riskiest of the 3 major equipment types because there's other things involved in reefer units. You got to keep freight pre-cooled. Freight can get damaged quicker because it's a refrigerated truck. Flatbeds are the easier types to start off with because it's a flatbed. You're just basically pulling up to a yard, getting loaded and offloaded with a forklift and going about your business, as opposed to a dry van or a reefer where you got to pull up to a loading dock, wait 1 to 2 to 3 hours to get loaded and offloaded, and then pull away. So those are things to consider when deciding which equipment type that you want to begin with if you decide to go with the call center avenue with my call center that I'm considering. And this is a consideration. I'm just putting it out there. It's not, nothing has come to fruition yet, but it's in the works. But I'm putting out feelers for you guys, especially you guys who are independent freight dispatchers but are having a hard time finding trucks right now. Whether it's me finding trucks for you and giving them to you, but you can't seem to close the deal as far as them returning the dispatch agreement to you, or whether you're brand new to the industry, independent freight dispatching, and you're still having a difficult time getting the carriers under agreement, because remember, that's module 1, carrier acquisition. So that's the first stage in the process, in the workflow, is to get the carrier under the agreement, have them return the dispatch agreement, return the profile with them telling you how they want to run, and return the all the other documents that they need. So what do you think about that, Selena, if you can unmute yourself? Or anyone else? I think Moni said that was awesome, but I guess it helps. It'll be a springboard for you, in my opinion, to get past that hump of not having a carrier once you get the agreement back, because it'll funnel through the call center. We'll get it back. That way we know that you got it, and then we'll forward it to our client, which is you guys or whoever hire us to help them find the trucks, along with the invoice for that service, that $150 for one truck, or however we do that. So let me reply to this shipper. So are there any questions about that? Let's see. Someone commented. Oh, Linda, I was just saying that we are. I am considering a small call center where I help beginning independent freight dispatchers, or those who may not be beginners but have joined recently but are having difficulty getting carriers to return dispatch agreements, I'm starting a call center where I have people who find I'm extending a service to you guys, and I have a group of people who find the carriers for you, sign the agreements for you, return the dispatch agreement profile along with the other documents, the W-9, MC Authority, and certificate of insurance, all to you, and then we invoice for that service. The fee is going to be kind of low, maybe $150 per truck. We'll also send a form, first a contract saying that you want the service. This is our pricing point, and then in addition to that, a form saying, okay, what type of equipment do you want to start off with? Do you want one equipment? Do you want? I suggest starting off with 3 at least, one of each equipment type: dry van, flatbed, and reefer. Other than that, if you want to just start off with one, if you can only afford the one truck, the $150 per truck, then the beginning easy entry point will be the flatbeds, and then flatbeds, dry vans, and then reefer in that order if you're starting off like that. So that was the introduction. So I haven't officially mentioned it, but I'm putting out feelers right now for you guys just to get an idea of that. So that's what I want. That's what I wanted to mention, Linda. So for those who are new and are in here who have not still yet gotten a carrier under a dispatch agreement and having difficulty, because even if I call the carriers for you guys and they say, yeah, I want to, have them reach out to me, and I say, well, who wants this carrier? I give it to somebody, and then you guys call, but you're still having difficulty getting that agreement returned to you by the person, then I want to extend the service of getting that part done so you can get over that hump. So let's see, let's do a roll call. We got guests on here, I guess. Let's see, RG, hey Moni. I see Mike Jackson. It seems like you're new. Kalia, I think you were here last week. Area code 240 twice, I guess. That may be the same area code but different people. So welcome guests. This is Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. My name is Charles. Today, I guess, is Q&A and a little bit of an overview or a review, I would say, of what it is to be an independent freight dispatcher. So I'm going to extend a little bit of questions right now, and then we'll spill back and forth between questions and review or overview, and then go from there. So who has a question about being a independent freight dispatcher? What difficulties you may be having, or what questions that you may need answered that you are kind of like wondering about, what is the process or what's going on, things like that. Today is April 12th. It's supposed to be that Black Smoke Matters Day, where allegedly truckers were supposed to have shut down their trucks in a protest to the shippers and brokers with their pricing. They were promoting that today, so I was monitoring that and seeing who did it and who did not do it. So I don't think one day is going to affect the transportation industry in such a way where shippers will say, okay, well, let's raise our rates so that we can satisfy the carriers' concerns, or the brokers say, let's lower our rate that we charge the carriers to move those loads, so it can affect the carriers in such a way that it'll change. I don't think one day was going to affect that. So although the idea was good, I think the implementation was kind of poor. The planning of it was poor. So today was supposed to be that day that truckers were supposed to shut down or do what's called a slow roll. Now, in the state of Illinois, there was a state police notice that went out that if truckers are on the road, slowing the road down on the interstate, that can cause accidents, and they can actually get arrested for that. So if you are from the state of Illinois and you are a truck driver, I highly recommend you guys be careful out there with the state police. So any questions, comments? And if so, you can unmute yourself or type it into the chat box right there. Okay. Okay, so again, Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. It's a very basic beginning level course where you learn the basics. I provide ebooks, I provide a glossary, provide trainings Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11 to 1. Try to answer basic questions to get you guys acclimated into the dispatching portion of the transportation industry. What all does that entail? Because when you do get a truck under a dispatch agreement, you want to be able to effectively find loads for that truck. So how is that done? What is the process in that? Well, first, the way I try to bring the information to you is through module format. So when you first enroll into Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, after you enroll, you'll get an email, and it'll direct you to the enrollment area, and it'll direct you to, I now have a little orientation piece where I put in an orientation video about, and this is here. So this is the orientation page after you enroll. You go through the orientation video, you answer the questionnaires, and it's pretty simple. Full name, date, did you watch the video, did you download the PDFs, yes or no, any comments, and then submit. And the PDFs are right here on the side where it says downloads. So after you enroll, this is where you get your ebooks, how much money you need to move your truck. That's an ebook. 34 pages. Level 2, which talks about a little intermediate instructions about rate confirmations and carrier packets and other things, other details that you need when you book loads. The other ebook, the third ebook, is Dispatcher 101. It goes over, and that's 40 pages. Okay. So, Kalia said, I ran into a problem with carriers telling me that my 10% is too high. What rates do you start with? Well, you came up through the RBBS. I'm assuming you're in the RBBS network, correct? Kalia? Can you unmute yourself? Or are you able to unmute yourself? If not, let me see if I can unmute you. Okay,
oh,
you're
hello.
unmute. You're unmute. Yes, hello. Okay, so you're in RBBS.
Yes.
Okay, are you on the subscription part of RBBS, or are you in the split where you split the commission?
I'm a subscription member. I pay the $19.99 a month.
Okay, so what that means is you can set your own rates for what percentage you charge to your carriers once you get them under a dispatch agreement. And
yes.
So, okay, so the range that I see out here for dispatchers charging to the carriers is between 5 and 10%. So you have the option to set your range between 5 and 10%.
Okay.
Okay. I hear some
that's
baby
the
crying
problem
in the background.
That's why I just wanted to tell you, if I have a sick baby at home, I apologize about that.
Okay, go ahead and type in the I got the information I needed clear. So what it is you're part of the subscription, and you can set your rates between 5 and 10%. A fair rate is 7%. But when you see a carrier saying that 10% is too much, then just explain to them that the 10% is not coming from their side. You can explain it to the way that, well, 10% is either going to be factored into the load from a cents per mile perspective, where if you find a load that's how much, okay, let me ask you, for your carrier, the carrier that you talk to, when you ask them how much they want, what's their cents per mile, what did they tell you? $2 a mile, $2.50 a mile? What number did they give you when you were talking to that person trying to get them under a dispatch agreement? They told you, okay, $2.50 a mile. So you can tell them this. You can say, okay, well, $2.50 a mile, and then what's that? Times 10%. So that's an extra 25 cents. So you'll say, okay, $2.50 a mile. My 10% is, when I go, I'll add my 10% on top of your $2.50 a mile, and I'll find you rates that's going to be whatever $2.50 a mile plus 25 cents is. So that's what, $2.75 a mile or better. So now they're getting their $2.50 a mile, and they're not even, and they shouldn't have to be worried about that 10% because you've added your 10% on top of. So you're going to look for rates that's going to be at least $2.75 a mile because you've added your 10% into, or in addition to his $2.50 a mile. So you could do it that way. That's number one. Another way could be if you find a load that's paying, let's say, $3,000 or $2,000. If $2,000 a rate for that load is within his $2.50 cents per mile, in other words, $2,000 divided by the $2.50 a mile would have been how many miles. So if you find a load that paid $2,000 and it was going within a number of miles that equals to or averages out $2.50 a mile, in this case 800 miles, so $2,000, and it was a load that was going 800 miles. But since he gave you his cents per mile, which is $2.50, right? So let's say $2,000. So now you want, and you still want to charge him 10%. So you say, okay, well, times 10%, which is $200. So now you want to go to the broker when you negotiate that load. You'll say, okay, well, I see we got a load that's paying $2,000, but we want to move it for $2,200 or $2,300. So now you added in your $200 or your 10% or $200 into the gross rate of the load as far as the dollar value is concerned. So there's two different ways you can negotiate. When you negotiate with that carrier, when you tell them that 10% is not affecting your pockets whatsoever, we can either add the 10% to the cents per mile rate to find you loads at $2.75 at least per mile or better, or we can add the gross dollar, we can increase the gross dollar amount when we find loads with the broker, when we negotiate the loads to cover our 10%. It's not being decreased from your pocket, but it's being added on top of what the broker is going to pay us for finding the loads. You understand? So whichever option is easier, I think it's easier to explain it doing the cents per mile. That's why I asked you what was the cents per mile that carrier is asking. So instead of doing the gross rate and saying you're going to renegotiate with the broker, just go with the first option. So say $2.50. So whatever that carrier says, $2.50 per mile, you just take whatever that amount is. It could be $3 a mile, it could be $2.75 a mile, whatever. And this is for everybody. Whatever the carrier says that they want, because you're negotiating or you're talking to the carrier saying, okay, well, how much money you need to move your truck? What's your cents per mile? They'll say, well, I want $2.25. Well, I want $2.50. Whatever that number is, have that calculator in front of you, or if you're in front of a phone or whatever, on a computer, and say, okay, well, in her case, Kalia's case, it was $2.50. Just say, okay, times 10%. Okay, Mr. Carrier, I'm going to, so that's 25. So you add that 25 cents back to the $2.50, then obviously it's going to give you 275, right? Okay, Mr. Carrier, to compensate for finding your loads at 250 plus factoring in my 10%, I'm going to find loads that's going to be at least 275 per mile or better. So your 250 is covered, my 10% is covered, and you may get some extra cents per mile, because I may find a load that's $3 a mile, $3.10 a mile, or better. So we're both covered, and you keep the change. So that's probably an easier way to explain it than saying I'll go back to the broker and add my 10% on top of the gross rate, like 2,000 plus the 200, 2,200, or 2,300. So it's probably easier to explain it using the cents per mile scenario than it would be the gross rate of the load scenario. So if you go to a load board, now what equipment type, Kalia, was that carrier that you were talking to? What equipment, or do you remember what equipment type? Do you remember the equipment type of that carrier? Is she still on? Okay, yeah, she's still on. It was a dry van or reefer. Okay. Okay, he had both. Okay, babe. So let's say, let's go to a load board. And where was he located? What part of the country was he in? Do you remember? If you remember. He was in Florida. Florida is good getting in, but it's kind of difficult getting out. So he was in Florida. So let's use a city in Florida. I don't know if you remember the specific city, but we could say Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville, or whatever. And he wanted to go to Michigan. So do you remember what city in Florida he was in, or he just saying just generally Florida? Because I just want to kind of gauge if there's anything in Florida coming out going towards Michigan. So anywhere in Florida. So he didn't have a specific city. Okay, so we'll say anywhere in Florida. And you said van or reefer. And anywhere to Michigan. You wanted to go anywhere to Michigan. Okay. So and see, he wanted $250 a mile. So right now, the rates right now are not dictating that $250 a mile scenario for a van or a reefer. If you notice here, the highest number right here is 2,000 for 1,386 miles coming out of Pompano Beach, Florida, going to St. John's, Michigan. So that cents per mile that's definitely below. That's below $2 a mile. That's $1 and something a mile. So that's 1,386. So I would also need his specific city so I know how much deadhead he needs to get to this load, assuming that he wanted that load. And this is for Monday, this is the 15th. That's $1.44. He's definitely not gonna. So this carrier needs to understand too that the lanes going from Florida to Michigan right now. Yes, see the highest you. So now you have to. Now it's getting to a case where you have to educate the carrier, because the carrier needs to know right now the lanes coming. I mean, the rate coming out of that area or the lanes coming out of that area is not conducive to $2.50 a mile. It's just not. Now, if it was, then you can have some wiggle room to play with him. But right now. And then especially with Florida, you have to understand getting out of Florida, going to Michigan long haul, $1.98 is even excellent. That's excellent. So this person saying $2.50 a mile, he's either pulling your chain, or he really doesn't understand the rates for that lane coming from Florida up to Michigan is not going to be 250. Talina said equipment that can stack loads are doing better right now. Yeah. Like put two partials together, like with a flatbed, or stack loads inside of a dry van. Yeah. So, like hot shots. Well, the ones who want to stay away from hot shots may be doing better right now. But this right here, this line haul, or this head haul, was called a straight shot from Florida, anywhere in Florida to anywhere in Michigan, and he wants $2.50 a mile. He's going to be hard pressed to find that unless he tries to do a strategy, what Talina just said, stacking loads, taking partials. If he can find two partials at that rate going in the same direction, now he may be able to get close to that $2.50 a mile. But I'm not sure, Talina, if he's even thinking that way. Now, we as dispatchers, we may have that thought process. You know, I don't know if Khalil thought about it like that, just finding one load for that person, or maybe finding him some partials or some stack loads, maybe taking a load from Florida to a short run in, you know, maybe Atlanta or South Carolina, and then taking something from South Carolina up to Michigan. Now, I'm not sure if he's willing to work it like that also, Khalil. Because sometimes you may have to do two loads in order to get to where you need to get to. He may have to come from Florida, maybe up to the Atlanta area or South Carolina, and then take something from South Carolina and work his way up to Michigan. He's still going in the same direction, and maybe a few days more, but he's making money in the process. So, but the $2.50 a mile for that straight line shot, it seems a little unrealistic right now, given the rates for that lane, the cents per mile rates for that lane. So, what are your thoughts about that, Khalil? Let me unmute you and see if you can see something.
Okay, yes. It's quiet out here. I'm outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I did think about, I did see, I could have sent him through North Carolina, but I didn't know if that was like right out his way. He didn't really specify. But one thing he did do, he did take my dispatcher agreement. I emailed him the information and everything, and he's supposed to be getting back to me today.
Okay.
So, you know, I don't know. I kind of feel like he was pulling my chain because I am fairly new, so it's just a learning experience for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you chalk it up to experience, because there are going to be carriers out there that do that, but there's more carriers out there who actually need someone to help them dispatch for various reasons. They may not have the time to do it. They may not have the time to get a load booked in time before someone else books it, and it's a really good load and they want it. So that if they had a dispatcher working that for them, it'll be easier on them. So there are different reasons why carriers need dispatchers. There are different reasons why carriers may pull your chain. He may just say that because he don't want you. He may think that, okay, you may not know that that's unreal. Now, he don't realize that you're part of a dispatching network of other dispatchers who are kind of familiar with that process and can tell you that this person may be pulling your chain, or this person may not really know it, and you need to educate him. You know, once you educate yourself, you need to go and tell him, okay, where you want to go for that rate is kind of unrealistic now, because the rates they're dictated in such a way that it's not $2.50. It's more like $1.98 or a little under $2. And he either may not know that or knows it and just threw that number out there just to see where your head was at. So
I see that. Okay. I just have one more question if nobody else has a question right now.
Well, no one has a question, but Linda made a comment kind of piggybacking off your guy. She said, ask the carrier what his last few loads paid. That's a good way to kind of gauge too.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we still are communicating. So.
Okay. And he has a dry van and a reefer.
Yes.
Okay.
And my other question is, like, as a beginner being a dispatcher, what are some good load boards to start with? Like, what would be a best? Because I've actually just been using all of them. But what would you recommend for someone starting out? What would be a good one for us?
It depends on how, are you trying to invest in your own, or are you trying to use the ones that are in the back office of the platform that you're on, or which angle are you trying to go on?
Right now, I'm using the back office because I have a subscription, but I am looking into getting a couple on my own eventually.
Okay, so the ones in the back, I haven't been to RBBS's back office myself, but on mine, I have on my platform, Dispatching 101 Training for Beginners. I have, let's see, under Module 2. If you can see my screen, you're on the phone?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. So under load boards, I got 10 of them back here. And if you were to join, I'm not sure if you're part of mine or not. I got so many that's starting to grow, but if you join before the first of Linda said DAT is king. DAT, D-A-T, what she's saying is DAT is king. DAT is a load board. There's two different variations of the DAT load board. DAT means dial a truck. You have what's called DAT power, and then which is a broker level load board, or it has features on the level of a broker. And then you have DAT Trucker's Edge. I have DAT Trucker's Edge back here in my back office area. DAT Power offers the ability to post loads, post trucks, search loads, and search trucks. Those are the features, which is all 4 features. DAT Trucker's Edge gives you the ability to search loads and post trucks. So that's what carriers do. Because if you are a carrier, an independent owner operator, that's all you should do. You should only be able to post your truck as being available and search for loads for your truck. So that's why Trucker's Edge has only those features. DAT Power has all 4 features. So,
okay.
But with that, it's kind of priceless. You have to look into that.
Okay.
So with now back here, I have some load boards. Load Solutions. Let me hit the load board thing. Load Solutions, and with each load board you click in here, you have the link that opens up another tab for the login for that load board right here. So, for example, Load Solutions is a good load board. Trucker's Path. I think Trucker's Path is in the back office of RBBS. Nextload it should be in the back office of RBBS, because that's one of the load boards when I was on the RBBS platform that I had provided for the back office platform of RBBS, and I think it's still back there. 123 load board, I don't think they have it, but I have it here. Hotshot Carrier, in case for those who decide to get Hotshot carriers. Free Freight Search, I have a login for that. Here's DAT Trucker's Edge, I have a login for that. One of my carriers let me use their login. A1 Freight Matching is a good one. Direct Freight Services. Now this is a trial one, but I'm going to probably upgrade to the $34.95 a month subscription for that one through the company. Along with I think ComFreight is the same thing. I think I got a login for ComFreight. And then Quick Transport Solution is just for searching for trucking companies. So those are the 10, 11 load boards back there. If someone who is considering joining this platform prior to the 1st of May, they will be grandfathered in, and they won't have to, because I'm implementing also a $19.99 subscription in May for those who join from May and beyond. But if you join prior to, and those who are already members will be grandfathered in, and they don't have to do the subscription. But part of the reason is to help cover the cost of some of the upcoming load boards and features that I'm going to include in this platform. So So to have a little skin in the game, I guess I was going to implement a $19.99 subscription. And I may decrease that amount. It may be $13.99 or $14.99 or whatever, something cheap, $9.99, just to help cover the cost of some of the back end services that are starting to become implemented on the platform, and some of the better paying load boards. So, and that's the only reason. But yeah. Any other questions, comments on that? But some of the better, Kalia, I'm sorry, some of the better load boards are DAT, either DAT Power or Trucker's Edge. That's number one, the DAT products. Number two is 123 load board. That's a good one. And then the other one is Internet Truck Stop. Now, I had Internet Truck Stop in the back office of Dispatcher 101 training. I've since took it off because it was breached. Prior to changing the dynamics and the look and feel of my website, I used to have the login and passwords on the website, but that security feature was breached. So Internet Truck Stop security team reached out to me and said I had to take it down, and the account is actually, I had to change my login. It's under a different login now, and it's under, the account is being reviewed right now by the security team, so I can't put that back up there for now, but I still can give you guys, I can take screenshots of loads and paste it to the Dispatcher 101 Facebook group or send them to you for those loads so you can still have the loads, but I can't share the login on the website under the load board section. So you can still, I can still give you loads from it, but I just can't share the login. So, but Internet Truck Stop, this is Internet Truck Stop. It's a good load board. Now I got the regular $34.90 or $35 a month login for Internet Truck Stop. There is a Pro. If you upgrade to Pro, I think it's $129 a month. If you upgrade to Pro, they'll give you, there's better paying loads and things like that. So if you're real serious about being an independent dispatcher, and I'm sure you guys are, I'm just saying that as far as investing and having skin in the game, you will look to getting the better paying load boards so you can get the better paying loads. So if you choose the route to find your loads from the load boards, now as you grow in being an independent dispatcher, you're going to learn that some of the loads, some of the better paying loads are not even on the load boards. James Ash, you think that will come back to the back? I hope so. Even if it does not, I still can, you guys say, well, I need a load. I still can, look for a load for you, find it, take a screenshot of it, and then paste it for those members who are in the, to the Facebook group, the Dispatcher 101 Facebook group. So you can still get the load, you just won't be able to log into it yourself, James, until I get a decision from Internet Truck Stop, as to if I can. Because when they saw that breach, they're tracing the IP address and finding out, where it was logged in from and all this other stuff. So they're going to find out. Because I told them at the time that it happened, I wasn't logged in, but I was doing training, and my screen on my website was shown with the login and the, as you scroll through, I used to have on the website in the load board section all the load boards with the screenshots of their usernames and passwords. Now, if you notice, I've since taken that down, and I just got load boards up here with the name of the load boards and a link to the load boards, but you still have to log in. It doesn't actually show the username and password. I personally emailed each member of Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners all the logins in a Word document, so you guys have that. And I say in the email, protect your your username and passwords that way. So, but I don't know what the decision, James, was going to be from Internet Truck Stop. When that'll happen, though. So, okay. Now, is this James McLean? Yep, Mr. Jordan? Or is this a different James? No, this is a different James. Okay. I had a question for James McLean. Okay. Okay, Mr. Jordan. All right. So yeah, but those again, Khalil, those are the low boards. If you're considering investing, start off with the if you can afford like $100 a month to invest in your business as far as low boards is concerned, I recommend Internet Truck Stop. That's $34.99 or just say $35 a month. 123 low board, I think it's like, I could be wrong, I think it's like $49 a month. So those two alone, that's 84. So if you could invest, you could have two pretty good low boards right there. 123 low board and Internet Truck Stop. So okay. And then if you can't afford to invest right now in that, if you joined this platform, you will have access to Internet Truck Stop in the sense of being able to say, hey, Charles, I need a load. Where's it going from here to there? I'll find it for you, and then paste a screenshot of it to you through the Facebook group Dispatcher 101, and you will have access to 123 load board in the back office. So, okay. But being a beginner dispatcher, it's also important to focus on, of course, getting the carrier under the agreement, getting those other documents back. Because I always stress that. And the reason why I keep stressing that, guys, is because those documents are important. The dispatch agreement and profile is important for you to have in your filing system because it links you to the carrier as far as, on a contractual basis. But the other documents that you're going to need, the carrier's W-9, which shows that they are a business, they have an EIN number, and that they are legitimate in that sense for tax purposes. The carrier's MC authority, which says the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration, and DOT, authorizes or gives them the authority to move freight throughout the United States, whether they're interstate or whether they're intrastate, so within their state of residence or throughout all the states. So that's the MC authority letter. So you got the W-9, the MC authority letter, and then the third document is a copy of their certificate of insurance, making sure that they are insured to cover the freight that they're moving on their trailers. So that's the whole point. And the minimum for cargo insurance is $100,000. The minimum for liability is $1 million. Those are minimums, and they can have more. They may have $2 million. Or they may have $250 contingency cargo, $250,000, or they may have $2 million liability. But I'm saying the minimums that I generally see when I'm booking loads and looking for loads is $100,000 for cargo and $1 million for liability. So if you get those back, then put them in your filing system and go from there. James asks, you think it's value to have carrier that's only wants short haul and wants to be home daily or a waste of time? That's yes and no, I guess. Yes, in the sense, if you're starting off from the very beginning, you get that carrier to get that experience. No, in the sense that you're not going to make a lot of money from that carrier. If he's home daily, unless he's doing like port jobs and things like that, and he's got a specific contract. But if you're trying to broker loads for that carrier that wants to be home daily, you're going to have a hard time. But if you can find like port workers, he's a power only type of carrier, James, then you may be okay because he's just pulling containers from the ports, taking them to distribution centers or wherever they're going, and then going back and forth, and he's home daily, and you're making money from that, and it's consistent. But if it's somebody with a dry van, flatbed, or reefer, he wants to be home daily, and he's only doing short hauls. It's a catch-22. It's kind of a hard call. It depends on how you strategize that concept. So as a dispatcher, it depends on how you strategize that, But starting off from as a beginner, and you just want to get some experience, says he will do power only. How do I find port work? check your, it depends on if you live in an area of the country, in the state that has a port authority, look it up that way and let them know that you have a carrier. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you definitely have ports over there. So, yeah, Wilmington. Yeah, check your local authority, your local port authorities, Google them in the area, and then look up the logistics portion of that and then go from there. Your local Wilmingtons or the Delaware Chamber of Commerce for logistics, things like that. I'll warn you though, James. There's a lot of red tape in that, so you have to ask yourself: do you want to go through all that red tape just to find loads for someone who wants to do short haul? So you just have to weigh your options. Is it worth going through all that? Now it is if you can get consistent port work for that guy. So, because with hauling containers from the ports, they're going to make between $1,300 and $1,500 a week if they're going to be home every night. So if you're charging 10%, you're making what, $130 to $150 a week for that one power only. So you just have to ask yourself, is it worth going through all that red tape for $130 to $150 a week for that one power only? Now, if you're doing that for 10 power only units in that same area, now you're saying, okay, $1,300 to $1,500 a week, but that's across 10 carriers. So you just got to weigh pros and cons of doing that. All right. So what was I? The documents for beginning. Okay. So those documents for the beginning dispatchers, always get those back. Certificate of insurance, W-9, MC authority, along with, of course, your dispatch agreement and profile. Put them to the side because every broker and shipper you call, they're going to ask for those documents because they're checking and they're vetting out the carriers themselves before they put them under their loads. If a broker is vetting the carrier out to get them set up with the carrier packet to get them approved to run that load, they're checking the scores of that carrier, they're checking the insurance, they're checking to make sure that they're valid, everything's good. So I'll send that to you private. Let me send you the link to that too. To enroll in Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, because someone asked that question. It's right here. And prior to May 1st, it will not that price will not include the monthly $19.99 subscription. After May 1st, it will. But right now, if you join prior to that, it will just be that that price there. So, okay. Let me send that to you as well, sir. And to everyone else who is interested. And even if you can't enroll and you still want some of the materials, I do offer the ebooks series, the 3-for-1 and 4-for-1 pricing platforms as well. The 3-for-1 ebook special, the 4-for-1 glossary plus the other 3 ebook special, things like that. So the 3-for-1 is the 4-for-1 is $49. If you purchase the glossary at $49, $49.99, you get the 3 ebooks for free and the glossary obviously. And then if you purchase the Dispatcher 101 ebook for $39.99, you get the other 2 ebooks for free. So even if you can't join the $249 Dispatcher 101 platform startup price, you can purchase the ebooks kind of as a springboard. You'll still get the basic terms and things like that to help you get a better understanding and a better feel of being a dispatcher from the Dispatcher 101 training for beginners perspective. Okay. So again, back to the dispatch agreement and profile. So I had someone ask me a question too. They said, well, I got a carrier, return the dispatch agreement and profile. Now what do I do? Well, once you get back And that's a good question. And my response wasn't like, I mean, what do you mean? What do you do? What do you mean? You got to dispatch? No, that was a good question. This person may not have known what to do. I'm not the type of person who's going to minimize the importance of those types of questions. Or I'm not the type of person who's going to belittle someone based off of that type of question. I'm the type of person who's going to answer that question. Because there's a reason that question was asked. The only dumb question is the one that's not asked. That's how I look at it. So, if you are a new dispatcher and you receive back an agreement from the carrier that you convinced to send you back agreement and profile, what do you do next? Well, the first thing you want to do is set you up a little a filing system, because I'm sure over time, as you work your business of being an independent dispatcher, you want to get back more, dispatch agreements and profiles from other carriers. So what I do, or what I did is, I set up me a filing system. If you don't have a TMS system in place, like Ascend or any TMS system, TMS stands for Transportation Management System. So if you don't have a TMS system in place, then you can just set up files on your desktop, right, in your computer. So I opened up my PC, my desktop. Well, I'll just do it on the screen here. So you get back a dispatch agreement and profile. You can set up a simple file folder and say, okay, here's the folder. I'll say ABC dispatch services. And this could be for anybody, right? So let's open up that folder now. So now I got a folder, a main folder for my company called ABC Dispatchers. So now as you get back dispatch agreements, you can set up folders for each, we'll say agreement 1, right? Or we'll say carrier 1. Set up another folder. So these are we'll say carrier 2. We'll just do 2. I'm just showing you how I do it, and I'll show you mine specifically after I show you this. So let's say the first carrier, you got back the agreement and profile. So we'll have in here, we'll have the document, we'll call it agreement, and we'll have the other document that they got back, and we'll call it profile. So basically, you're filing all your information in your company's filing system electronically. So now you got the carrier. Here's your carrier 1, ABC company or ABC trucking or whatever you want to call them. I just said carrier 1, carrier 2. And in each subfolder, you have the agreement and profile. Also, you want to put in the subfolder for that carrier what else are you supposed to get back? Those other documents, right? W-9, and this carrier would have sent it to you. W-9, MC Authority. I'm just typing it in just to show you where it's supposed to go, or where it should go. Not it's supposed to go, but where it should go. And then I'll just abbreviate. COI stands for certificate. Matter of fact, let me spell it out. Certificate of Insurance. I just abbreviated it for shorthand. I didn't want to type everything, but just being lazy. So now you got in your carrier's folder all the documents that's needed, right? NOA. Good catch. Good catch, Al. Good catch. God doggone what I tell you. Yeah, if your carrier has a factoring company, then and you'll get that information from them too. So NOA, the notice of assignment. So NOA is a notice of assignment. What is a notice of assignment? A notice of assignment is the carrier's factoring company's way of doing credit checks on the broker and shippers to make sure that they pay on time. That's what that is. So the carrier would send you a notice of assignment. It's just basically a blank form, and you send that along with the certificate of insurance, W-9, and the MC Authority to the broker. When you fill out the carrier packet to get set up with that broker, they're gonna process the other stuff, but they're gonna fill out the NOA and send that back to you to send to your carrier, so your carrier can give it to their factoring company, so they can assess the broker to make sure that they pay on time. There's no red flags. There haven't been cases where they haven't paid and things like that. So So now in your filing system for your business, ABC Dispatching Services, here's your first carrier. Now let me copy, matter of fact, let me copy all this and do the same thing for carrier 2. Right? So everything for carrier 1 is needed for carrier 2. Right? The dispatch agreement, matter of fact, let me change it. Let me rename that. So, and this is just a sample. Dispatch agreement, profile. We'll make it specific so we'll know what it is. Carrier profile, right? So carrier profile, dispatch agreement, certificate of insurance, W-9, MC authority, and notice of assignment. So these should be in a file system for your business, ABC Dispatch in this example, but whatever your business is. Well, let's do this. Let's rename this folder to your whatever your business is. So your business, your freight company, right? Your freight company name here, right? So under your freight company name here, your carrier 1, your carrier 2, just as an example. Whatever that name is, it'll be whatever that is. And then inside of each folder, you have all the necessary documents. So now you're legitimately, it's structured a little bit more organized. You have all your documents. You have your agreement and profile, and then you have all the documents that you can navigate to when you're doing carrier packets to upload those documents along with the carrier packet to each broker that you're going to set up for loads for when you set up loads and book loads with that broker. Now, I just set this up as an example to show you how I do it. Now let me show you mine, right? Here is mine. Exodus Logistics. Now I got carriers, I got 10% carriers and I got 7% carriers. Now my 10% carriers, here are the names of my carriers. Here's the folders of my carriers, right? Exactly what I showed you right here under your freight company here, carrier 1. Now in the folders, in the carriers subfolders should be the documents that I need, right? Also too, let me add here too. Let's create folders of broker 1, right? Because because under every carrier you're going to have brokers that you move loads for. Broker or shipper. We'll say broker or shipper. When I say broker 1, also think of shipper 2 because it could be shippers that you move loads for too. Broker 2, right? And then in each folder of the broker for that carrier under your freight company, under the broker that you do, you're going to have carrier packets that you completed for that broker, carrier packet. And you could do more. You're only going to have one carrier packet for that broker. You're never going to have more than one carrier packet for a broker. Now you may update the carrier packet because your insurance for that carrier may expire or you may have to update something. But you're going to have one carrier packet. But you're going to have more than one rate confirmation because you're going to be moving more than one load for that particular broker. So we could say RateCon 1, could it be RateCon 2? Well, I didn't put a space. Just as an example, right? So now let's go back to our business. Your freight company, ABC Trucking or whatever the name is, your freight company name here, your carriers, right? Let's have some fun here. Let's look. Let's say your carrier 1, which could be a flatbed. Let's say flatbed. Your carrier 2 could be dry van. And then I didn't put a reefer, but we could say your carrier 3 could be a reefer. So 3 equipment types. So let's do the third one. And I'm just showing you how a good way to set up your under your carrier 1, I'm going to copy this whole structure and put it into the third one, right? So everything will be lined up. So your carrier 3 reefer and put everything there. So now everything is coordinated and looks the same, right? Let me put the folders into your carrier 2 for the broker, right? Broker 1. And this is recorded, so you guys can go back and give yourselves an idea of how to set your business up. This is just one idea. This doesn't necessarily have to be etched in stone, but this is just one idea of how it's done. So let's see, carrier 1, broker 1. Now I need to copy the information out of each broker 2, put it there, and then for each carrier 2, broker 1, carrier packet, recon, things like that, and then broker 2, right? And then carrier 3, broker 1, carrier packet 1. So the other one should have, broker 2 should have carrier, okay, it doesn't, so let's put it there. All right, so now we got a business. We have a Your Freight Company business, Your Freight Company name here, whatever it is, XYZ Carriers or XYZ Dispatching, ABC Dispatching, or whatever that name is. And you say you started off small. You got your first flatbed carrier, your first dry bed carrier, your first reefer carrier. And then for the flatbed carrier, you got 2 brokers you may have moved loads with. But in your flatbed carrier's subfolder, you got your dispatch agreement, your profile, and the other documents, MC Authority, Notice of Assignment, W-9, Certificate of Insurance. And then for each broker that you deal with, you have the carrier packet you may have in there. Now you may have it, you may not. Sometimes you may do a carrier packet online and it may not give you the option to download that carrier packet. And then you have rate confirmations for all the loads that you may have done. You may have 3 or 4 rate confirmations because you may have done different loads. So that's how it's structured. Now let me show you mine again. Here is, okay, Exodus Logistics, that's the name. I got a subfolder called Signed Agreements, 7%. I got another one called Signed Agreements, 10%. But Signed Agreements, 7%. Here are my carriers under Signed Agreement. All the folders for those carriers. So imagine what's in the subfolders of those carriers, right? Can anyone guess what's going to be in there? If I take any one of these and open it up, double click this, guess what's in here? The brokerages of the loads that he did for that carrier. He's a reefer. That's the name, 53-foot reefer. These are all the brokerages, the subfolders are all the brokerages for that carrier. Now, what else is in there? Remember those documents? Certificate of Insurance, W-9, MC Authority, NOA, and then service agreement. I think the service agreement and profile is there, right? James said, whoa. So why do you say whoa, James? Oh, all the brokers you seen, all the brokers that I booked loads. Yeah, this one carrier has booked loads. Now this grew over time, James. Oh, Gag, yeah. I got Gag and Son. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you may have a carrier. I may have a carrier that you may have. That's possible because a carrier can have more than one dispatcher. That's not uncommon. But here it is again, the carrier, and then all the brokers that this carrier has ran under, and then if you go into the subfolders of the broker, remember the rate cons and the carrier packets. So these are real rate confirmations. I put mine in when I date them, and then the rate confirmation, and then the load number. So this one don't have a carrier packet in it, but it does have signed confirmations, rate confirmations. So I can do that with any of the carriers, right? Oh, you talking about here, Gag and Son, yeah. Here's another one. All the brokers he has a ton of brokers that I deal with. Look at all these brokers that I deal with. TQL. So, yep, and they're in alphabetical order. Coyote. So all these brokers that they've moved loads for this particular, now this is a flatbed carrier. The last guy was a reefer carrier. But you see, you're following the prototype though. As long as you follow the prototype, then, so this is how the prototype is structured. Now I probably can email this structure, the prototype, because it's just a set of empty file folders on my desktop. But if you open it up, it'll give you the structure to follow. Your freight company name, your carrier's name, whether it's a flatbed, drive-in, or reefer, and then in each one, the broker's names, and then of course your agreement you need. So you basically got to change the agreement to the name of the agreement for your guy, certificate, insurance, MC, and all this stuff. And then you replace broker one with the actual brokerage that you've booked loads for, and then in each broker subfolder, of course, carrier packets and rate confirmations. I recommend dating the rate confirmation so you will know, but you can easily open up the rate confirmation itself and get the date too. But it just makes for good practice with your filing systems. So does everyone follow that kind of sample example of how that's done? And again, this is a basic structure, basic level structure. So, yeah, open the documents for clarity of the content. So are you asking me, Mike? Who is Mike? Are you asking me to open my specific documents? Oh, the broker documents. Yeah. Yeah, because the broker documents is going to contain, the only thing that's going to be in the broker's folders is going to be either the carrier packets that are filled out by you or your carrier that returned to you so you can have for your filing system, and the rate confirmations. That's pretty much it. There may be some other things, but the main documents that are going to be in there are carrier packets and rate confirmations. So if you open up any broker, so so for this one brokerage for this flatbed carrier, here's a 2-page carrier packet that was filled out. Right? 2 pages. And then the 2-page, and then the rate confirmation. That's the rate confirmation, 2 pages. And then here's the signed rate confirmation. This was the signed rate confirmation also. So there you go. And it's like that for every one. It's like that for every one. I can open up any one and show you all the. So I want to see again. I want to reemphasize when I train on a basic level. I just want to. I just don't want to talk you with theory. I want to actually show you how, like how I structure mine as an example and a possibility of a method that you could possibly use. Now, this may not be the only method, or this may not be the method that you agree with. It's just one that I use, and it's worked for me. Now, if you find something that you use that's effective for you, then by all means use it. I'm not saying that this is the end-all, be-all method. I'm just giving you a sample of what can be done to help you organize your business in the beginning. Now, once you get a transportation management system, a TMS, you can import. Now, I do at the end of the day or the end of the week, I port all new data or import all new data into my TMS system. But keeping it on the desktop it works for me. So if you guys want this little sample file folder system, if you don't want to create it yourself, I can easily email this to you guys if you want it. My TMS system is Ascend. It's the free version. Ascend the TMS. Let me type my Linda. Let me type my email here. So if you want that file folder on this desktop as a sample for you guys, or as a guideline to follow, just shoot me an email and I'll send it to you. The TMS I use is Ascend. Linda asked a question about Ascend. And you guys can set up an Ascend TMS system yourselves. You set up a free account. This is Ascend. It keeps going to my, and I want to go to the, I want to just go to the main one. I don't want to go to my login one. See, it goes to the login by default. So let me Google Ascend again and see if I can get, because I guess my browser is set up to go directly to my default Ascend TMS logistics software. There we go. There we go. So we'll go here. So let me copy that. And you can set up a free version, and it's integrated with DAT, TruckStop, ComData. These are the integrations that 123 load board truckers have. So Ascend, if you get the premium version, you can integrate or do plugins from the software to other load boards. So you can post from your TMS system to load boards. It's integratable with Ascend. I'm not sure if it's integratable with the other ones like Aljax or eFreight Solutions or any other TMS systems, but this is Ascend. You can set up a free version for yourself and go from there, Linda. But prior to Ascend, the file folder system is the way to go. You know, even a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet, or if you got Google Docs, you can go into Google Docs and do it so it'll be an online cloud-based application, because spreadsheets are localized to the computer. If something may happen to your computer, it may crash, things like that. Now, I back my data up to an external hard drive as a way of keeping things backed up. Let me show you what I mean here. So as part of just the cost of doing business, you want to back up your data to an external hard drive. This is a 1 terabyte external hard drive. I think it paid about $60 for it, but a Seagate external hard drive is 1 terabyte, I think it is. No, it's half a terabyte, which is 500 gigabytes. That's still more than enough data. So it's a USB port, right? So what I do is I back my data up. Now I'm just showing you guys the business aspect of dispatching, right? You know, from a beginner's level, the business aspect. So let me open up my external hard drive and show you the Exodus. It's installing it right now. So while it's installing it, we'll wait for that to install. But the business aspect of running a dispatching, you know, these are some of the small things that you'll consider also. You want to back your data up because you never know what's going to happen. Something may crash and you might lose a lot of data. So if you got a backup system, you know, either in the cloud or to an external hard drive like this one, then you're protected. Once you restore and get your computers up and running again, you can just bring that data back and you're up and running as if you never lost anything. But if you don't have that and you're running a business, you may want to consider, really consider getting something like that. Trust me. So let me type this to this broker. All right. Any questions about that? So this is more like, this seems like it's more of a business kind of beginning business level. Yeah, I'm not doing anything yet. Can you see the screen, Linda? Because the only thing I'm showing now is canceling that. Only thing I'm showing now is my Dispatcher 101. Yeah, I wasn't doing anything. I was waiting for the external hard drives, the device drivers to install so I can open up the folder. So right now, let me open it up and see if the folder shows the external hard drive. You can get it from Best Buy, maybe even Walmart. So, okay, so here it is right here. See what it says Seagate Backup Plus? So I got it there. So everything that's on my desktop that's related to Exodus Logistics, right, is right here. All my 10% and my 7% agreement. I just need to change the name of that. So everything, this is Seagate. This is on my Seagate drive. See that? Seagate Exodus Logistics. So everything that's on, let me go. Now this is the file folder. Let me go to my regular hard drive, desktop stuff. Exodus Logistics right here. So that's Exodus Logistics and then Seagate. So what I'll do, I'll back up new data to my Seagate external hard drive, Exodus Logistics folders, and that's basically it. You're backing up the data so it's protected. So if anything happens to your laptop or desktop, if it crashes and you get a new laptop or a new desktop and restore all the software in the operating system, you can restore the data from backup to the laptop or desktop's location, and then you're up and running again. That's all that means. But from a business perspective, you want to do that, because if you lose that data without a backup, now you have to rebuild applications, you have to type in new data. It's just so much easier. This is part of the cost of doing business. I recommend, if you don't have a cloud-based like Google Drive or like I got Dropbox, Google Drive, any cloud-based application, if you don't get an external hard drive. So, okay. Just the cost of doing business. Let me see if anybody emailed me wanting the purpose of using 2 or 3 screens or monitors is so you can be doing work at the same time. You may have dual monitors or 3 monitors. You may have a few load boards open here, and then you may have your main screen open over here where you have to, like emails. You may be sending out emails, dispatch agreements to carriers. You may have a screen right here. So say you have 3 screens. One here, and of course the center screen is the one that you're doing the most work with. The other 2 screens are like kind of like accessorial work. So you may have load board over here, and your email screen right here. So you're sending out dispatch agreements and profiles in the center screen. You're still looking at load boards for loads for your carrier that you got under agreement currently. So the purpose of the 2 or 3 screens in a nutshell is for multitasking. So instead of flipping on one screen between tabs in a browser, if you got more than one screen on your system, then you can do that here. If you notice, I got 2 or 3 different tabs open. But if I got 3 screens, I can have 2 or 3 different tabs open on 2 or 3 different screens. So it gives me the ability to multitask across 3 different screens or 2 different screens, depending on how many you have. Let's see. James says, doing these first two quarters, how do you prepare for the last 2? Meaning freight is low in all the types of lanes. That's more of an intermediate question, but what it is, I think what James is asking, during the quarters, the first 2 quarters where the rates were down, and we're trying to look on load boards, finding loads for our carriers. That's why as you grow in your dispatching services as a dispatching business, you want to gradually move away from the load boards and focus on more on finding customers, direct shippers or customers for your carriers. That way you don't have to rely as much on the load boards. If you get a direct customer for your carriers and they're moving loads for that carrier all the time, you wouldn't have a need to come to the load board now. The only need that you may have for the load boards at that point is to find backhaul back to that customer's loads. But you're not there yet. You have to get there first. So you first have to learn how to navigate load boards, use load boards, find loads for your carriers, and work the load boards that way. And then as you're working the load boards, you're coming across different customers, different direct shippers or different brokers who have consistent freight. So now you're trying to stay with them and build that customer with that carrier. So let's see. Linda wants so let me see if I can attach this whole folder from my desktop, because I think it has to be like 25 megabytes. What did I call it? Oh yeah, your company name here. It's not going to let me attach. It's not going to let me attach the whole folder. See, it's just letting me. So it's not going to let me attach the whole folder, guys. It's going to have to. So you may have to just watch the recording and go back and see how it was built. Oh yeah, good point. Zip it. Mike, you telling me to shut up? Zip it. Yeah, let's see if I can zip it. As a matter of fact, yeah, I know. Zip the folders. Yep. So let's go to the desktop. Let's see if I can zip it. Let's right-click it and yeah, 7-zip. So compress and email. So bam, let's compress it and email it. Let's see if it'll let us do it. Good catch, guys. There we go. So now it's called that. And let's see. Compression level, everything else is the same, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to leave everything at default and see if it lets me do it. And I want to put it on the desktop, because it's going to put it in this location right here, but I want to put it on the desktop. So I'm going to put it on the desktop and call it that. Your company name .7-zip. So let's do that. So now it's going to the desktop and it's still called your freight company name .zip. So now let's, man, that was quick. Did it do it already? So while I'm looking at that, I got some questions here. What something like I'm going to cover it. I may cover it one-on-one, James, or I may not. I may just do it in a training where you can go back and watch over and over. I'm assuming you're talking about how to get your carriers from just brokered loads to direct shipper loads, James. I'm assuming that's what you're asking. Okay. Yeah, some of you guys may not have, and it's not allowing me to do it. It's going through a different phase. So I wonder what the other option is with the, let's cancel that. I want to cancel that. And cancel that. Yeah, I'm going to cancel. Are you sure you want to cancel? Yes, I want to cancel. So let's close this. Let's close that. So it does have it there. Add to archive. So 7-zip, add to archive. So add to archive is better than 7-zip. It still made it a 7-zip extension, but if we do add to archive, are you saying you'll be able to open it up? Okay, change the format to zip. You want the format to be zip as opposed to 7-zip? Okay, yeah. That way anybody can open it up. So it's going to be on the desktop, and it's going to be a zip file. And everything else remains the same. So let's hit OK. And now let's see if it puts it on the desktop. Robert, what computer programs you mean as far as running a dispatching business? That's the question you're asking, Robert. So here's the zip file. So let's see now. Let's go back to the question. Someone asked so the computer programs you may need to run a dispatching. Well, you're going to need a good operating system. Number one, like Windows 10 or whatever the latest operating system. I mean, even Windows 8 could be fine. But as far as the software, word processing software, maybe a spreadsheet software, let's see, yeah, Word, like Microsoft Office maybe, Access, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, things like that. So let's see if I can add that zip. Let me open that zip okay, so now it gave Linda the zip. So let me send that, Linda. Let me know if you got that zip file. So it sent it to you, Linda. So let me see if the other ones can get it. Good catch, guys, and thank you for your help in that input. See how I said we are a team? So let's see, James, Jordan. So let me send you the zip. Right there. Send it to James. Okay, Linda, I'm assuming you got it. And it's just, that zip file is just a template to follow as an example. If you don't have a TMS system, just a file folder system on your desktop so you can open it up and so if you try to open it, that means you're going to unzip it. So it's zipped now. Zip means it's compressed. So now you want to unzip it. So on your operating system, you should have a default program that's used to unzip. So let me send it to myself and then see. I'm going to compose an email to myself, my other email, and send that zip file and see how to unzip it. That way we can see, because she says she's trying to open it now, and I want to see if I can open it on my end so we can actually see together how that's done. So now, of course, I may be able to open it because I send it as a zip file, so I obviously have the unzip. But maybe Linda may not have the unzip program that's used to open that zip file. So let me delete these other emails while I'm here because they don't look to be important. This one is. This is a. I got a demo next week with a direct shipper load board. It's called Freight Connect. They're going to do a screen share guided tour of their direct shipper to carrier load board next week for me. If I get that account, I'm going to add that to the load board in the back office. So I want you guys to see that one's going to be $69 a month, or I may get the different plans. These are the features of it. Weekly direct shipper leads uploaded, costs next week, like that. So, someone unmute themselves.
I'm gonna yell. I'm good. She's good. We're all good. Bye.
Okay, so let me see if I can open this zip file, and here it is right here. So I'm going to download it first, and I'm going to put it on my desktop. So I don't know if you're doing it this way, Linda. You download it first, and then see if you can unzip it. So I'm going to download it to my desktop as a zip file, right? So I don't know. Let me know if you did it this way, Linda. You downloaded it to your desktop, right? So here it is now. So here's the actual folder. Now here's the zip. Right? So it's compressed. That means it's zip. It's compressed. So did you do that, Linda? Let me unmute Linda. I unmuted you, Linda. Can you talk? Okay. I'm going to remute you just to see. So now I downloaded the compressed zip file from the email to my desktop. So now I'm going to, now I double clicked it. I didn't right click it. So now I double clicked it. So now in there, all you got to do is just say extract all and it'll extract it. So let me do this. Let me delete the one that I created right here because it's going to create a duplicate. So let me delete this one. So to show you. And now I double clicked. I can either right click and extract all here, or I can double click the zip file and then extract all there and extract it to the desktop and change it back to the name that I initially had and then extract it. So now it's extracting, so now it's there. So now it's back on my desktop. I can open up the folders and everything is still there. So that's how you do it. So let me go back to my desktop, and there it is again, because I deleted it. So oh, okay, they opened in your so you didn't get the download it in the email? Because when I emailed it to myself, let me open up my email. Here, let me show you the screen again. So when I send it to an email to you, because I send it to myself, here it is right here. Here's the zip file. Your freight company name here .zip. There's no preview, but if you hit download, right? Before I do that, let me delete it off the desktop and delete the one that I just zipped. Go back to the email. Okay. Let's see what somebody said something here. Oh, you got it. Okay, you got it. All right, good. All right. So that's the example. So the email again, download it, and now it opens up. Where do you want to download it? I want to download it to the desktop. Let me change the name because it's not one, it's the only one. Zip. It already exists. Okay, so let me replace it if it's already there. And there it is, right there. So then once you download it, you just double click it, extract it to the desktop. Yep, and then you extract, and it's going to open up, and there it is. All right? Okay, we got 20 minutes. Now that's the business side of it, setting up your filing system initially, so when you do get carriers, you go from there. All right, so let me get out of all this. Cancel that. All right, someone asked, I understand the triangle, but haven't used the method yet, and now getting the understanding that load boards are mainly used as backhauls, because right now I'm just on load boards trying to find good paying freight. It's steadily evolving. I do understand this, beginners. Yes. Can you unmute yourself, James? If not, let me unmute you.
Hey,
I unmuted you. Hey, what's going on? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just basically like I said. I know this beginners are not trying to get off subject or anything, but I just know this as far as dispatching is steady evolving. So if you don't train or learn or go through your training, you know, you're not evolving. So basically, I'm just trying to get on that triangle method as far as finding your carriers, loads some, you know, your 2-3 loads a week and coming back to his house. Especially if you have carriers that want to stay out a whole week at a time or more.
Okay, so the triangular method that's going to come in time, because as you book loads and your carrier is sent to different areas, where those brokers send your carriers to, where that freight is, you get you get those loads from those different brokers, and you say, okay, let me finish this email real quick first, Jan. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me open up the map real quick. Remember what we were talking about with the triangular thing? And I was just talking to one of my carriers today about that, because he's trying to go from Philly to Boston, Boston to Los Angeles, back to Philly. So with a reefer, and we figure we'll make him like 12 or 13,000 within a week and a half doing that. So that at 10%, that's 1,300, 1,200 to 1,300 a week for the dispatch for me, right?
Right.
So from the beginners, how do you get to that triangular point? So what the first thing you have to do is research and understand, remember where freight is moving consistently and all the time. What region of the country that's happening in, right? So we know as we, like me, I know because as you see all my carriers I get, right, under agreement. So I've been dispatching a lot. So over time, and you'll learn this too, over time, you'll see what region of the country freight moves a lot. So I know that the Midwest region, there's a lot of freight. I know in the Texas region, there's a lot of freight. And then I know in the Southeast area, with the exception of Florida, sometimes. Florida is iffy, back and forth, back and forth. You can get in, but it's hard to get out sometimes. So I know Midwest, Texas, and I'm trying to stay east of the Rocky Mountains, because of the diesel fuel costs getting over those mountains and things like that. It's terrible out here. So I know Midwest, Texas, and then Southeast is good for freight for the 3 different equipment types and for those commodities for those equipment types. So what do I mean there? The 3 different equipment types: dry van, flatbeds, reefer. So with dry van, you just got general freight, things that can be palletized, dry goods, things like that. Flatbeds, the commodities or what's being hauled for the flatbed equipment type, of course, is what? Lumber, steel pipe, and even like equipment, like military equipment, other types of equipment that can go on the flatbed. And then with a reefer, what's the commodity for reefer? Beverages, chicken, poultry, meat, seafood, anything food related or anything that needs to be cooled, milk, ice cream, whatever, that goes on a reefer. So now you say, okay, so as I book loads for my carriers and I go to these different states that I determined that move the freight, then I talk to those brokers that's moving loads out of those different areas in that triangular, plotted, coordinated lane kind of thing. And I say, hey, Mr. Broker, for dry van, for reefer, for flatbed, how often do you guys move loads from this lane from, say, Columbus, Ohio to Dallas, Texas? How often do you do that? The broker say, okay, I move it out every day of the week, or 3 times a week I'll move loads out. So now you make a mental note of that, or even write it down. For, okay, I got a broker who has a load going from Columbus for a dry van going to Dallas, Texas. So keep that in your mind. Let me write that down before I forget, because I forget a lot. So we got a load coming out of Columbus for a dry van. So as you booking loads for your guys, whether it's dry van, flatbed, or reefer, right, you want to make a note of what comes out of where and how often it does. So now you say, okay, I got a lane that's good, that's coming out of Columbus to Dallas for a dry van. So now your next thing is, okay, so what's going from Dallas dry van over to any of these southeastern states, whether it's Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Let's say for example, you got a dry van load and a broker say, okay, I got a load coming out of Dallas, or maybe even Fort Worth, or maybe even Houston. You may have to deadhead to Houston to get a good load to go to, let's say, Atlanta. So you got another broker say, okay, I move loads, dry van. Now let's stick with the dry van equipment type, one equipment type. I got a dry van coming out of Houston going to Atlanta that's paying pretty good, and those loads move daily because it's the season for that. So now you got another nice lane that's in your possible coordinated, triangular, plotted lane. So now you got that broker. So here's broker 1 from Columbus to Dallas. Broker 2 from Houston. So you got a deadhead from Dallas to Houston. Or you may even find a little short run to get you there to, you know, just make some little money or some fuel, cover some fuel. So from Houston to Atlanta, right, there's your other coordinated broker. It may be the same broker. More than likely it's going to be a different broker. But that's fine, because I'm gonna show you how to get past that later on. But so from Houston to Atlanta, that's the second broker. So broker 1, Columbus to Dallas. Broker 2, Houston to Atlanta. Broker 3 could be from, let's say, Chattanooga, which is right here, a little bit deadhead, or let's say even Atlanta. You may have another broker that's got a load in Atlanta. Broker 3, Atlanta, ATL, going back up to Ohio, to Cincinnati or somewhere close to Columbus. Let's say Dayton. Dayton is between, since I used to live in Ohio, Dayton is between Cincinnati and Columbus. So let's say Dayton, Ohio. Let's say it's going to the Air Force Base, right? Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is in Dayton, Ohio, one of the largest Air Force bases in the country. So now you got a triangular thing. So Columbus to Dallas, a broker load. From Houston to Atlanta, another broker load. And from Atlanta to Dayton, another broker load. So that's a triangular lane for you. But those are broker loads. So now how do you make that even more consistent? Now you're running your one dry van guy with this, and that's cool. But let's give some more money to you. Now let's get a little bit more advanced or a little bit more intermediate, I guess, instead of beginner level, because James asked this question. So, but for beginners, you guys want to focus on that first lane, getting them from Columbus to Dallas. And then you may have a deadhead to Houston, from Houston to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Dayton or back to Columbus. But with setting up a dedicated lane, a triangular thing, so now with each broker, that brokered load, right, who are they picking the loads up from? So it's a brokered load, but who are they on the rate com, on every rate confirmation sheet, where are the carriers going to pick up a load? Is that a shipper, receiver? Where are they picking it up from? It's a shipper, right? Correct. It's a shipper. So now, if you got to be careful with this though, James, because some broker carrier agreements say that you can't, there's a no compete, no circumvent clause in the carrier package. So for brokered loads. So after you broker that load, now, but look, here's a way around that. If you pick up from that shipper all the time for these brokered loads, say you're running that load for like a month or two, and then say the shipper comes to you and say, hey, you guys run this all the time. You want to just run it for us on a regular basis? Now they're coming to you. You didn't go solicit to them. They're coming to your carrier. So now it has nothing to do with circumvent and non-compete, because you're not competing. You didn't initiate that dialogue. You understand what I'm saying? The shipper initiated that because they see that your carrier picked up on time all the time and was running those loads all the time. Now let's say that happened in all three cases in that lane. That from Columbus to Houston or Dallas, your carrier did pretty good. From Houston to Atlanta, your carrier did pretty good, and then from Atlanta back up to Columbus, your carrier did pretty good. And let's say that the shippers in all those cases came to your carrier instead of your carrier going to them soliciting. Let's say the shipper said, hey man, you want to just run this lane all the time? I see you here all the time. You talk to me all the time. You come in from coffee. We chop it up while you're waiting to get loaded. We come in here and chop it up all the time. You want to run this all the time? And of course your carrier's going to say, hell yeah. Your carrier's going to say yes, because it's steady freight. And your carrier didn't solicit. The shipper solicited to them. So that's a way around that. But you got to be careful, because that's a gray area. But that's a way that you can bypass if you want to deal directly with the shippers. That's a consideration. But you got to be careful with that. I'm not encouraging you guys to do that. But if you want to get to that level as far as your carriers dealing directly with the shippers, as you work broker loads over time, you want to work. And here's another way around that. You may work that broker load with that one carrier, but let's say your next carrier comes in and you want to put them in that same lane. Don't broker the load for that lane. Talk to the shipper directly. Say, hey, I got another carrier. So now you're not dealing with the broker. Hey, I got another carrier over here. You want to just deal with them directly with the carrier? Because now you're not violating any non-compete, non-disclose clause, because that one carrier under that broker load, he's running that load under that broker load. So he's within that non-compete, non-disclose. But here's this other carrier. He has nothing to do with this broker. He's dealing with the shipper directly in that same lane. So there's another workaround for that. And that's how that's done. But again, be careful with that. But that's a way, because over time, as you deal with shippers and stuff like that. So, yeah, at the same time, keeping the carrier on the same page as really trying to follow you and understand what you're trying to do. It takes time as getting a new carrier. Yes, right. So run those lanes for like a good month with that carrier, and then explain to him and say, hey, eventually we're going to transition from this broker load to just directly with the shippers, so we can keep more of the money for ourselves. Because the broker's taking what they're taking, but if we can eliminate the broker, then we can keep more money. You can keep more of your 10%, and the carrier can keep more of his whatever he's making for that load. You see. But run that broker load for a while, to establish the relationship with the shipper. Because if your carrier is running that load for a while in that triangular coordinated lane, they're seeing the same shippers over and over again. They know that lane, they're delivering and they're driving that lane all the time. So now they're building a relationship, right? So when you bring your next carrier and put them in that same lane with that same equipment type, you just eliminate that broker. You may run that broker with that one carrier initially, but the other carriers coming in, as you get other carriers under a dispatch agreement, now you're putting them into that direct shipper lane. Now I'm giving away some of my secrets, but I mean that's that's how you eliminate the brokers in the sense and keeping your carriers running, and you're establishing good relationships with direct customers now. Now you're not relying always on the load boards, because again, some of the better paying loads I'm starting to discover are not on the load boards, which sounds crazy, but it's true. This may be the first time you've heard that statement. Some of the better paying loads are not posted on the load boards, because if you got direct shippers and they got good carriers who always move in their load. I'm going to tell you why. If you got direct carriers, direct shippers, I should say, always moving their loads with their carriers that they deal directly with, why would they have a need to post their loads on the load board? They don't have a need. They're getting covered. And these loads are paying good. Think about it. Sometimes the loads that are posted on the load boards are like loads that either nobody wants or everybody's looking at, and now that's why sometimes the rates are the way that they are, right? But it is what it is. The load boards they do have a purpose. I don't want to discourage you guys from the load boards. The load boards do have a purpose. Backhaul sometimes is the purpose for the load boards. You may have a customer that sends you one way in a lane, but doesn't have a backhaul for you. So now you may have to broker that load to get backhaul back to your money load. So load boards do serve a purpose. And then if you get a subscription to a higher end, better paying load boards, then you may get higher end loads. So not to discourage you guys from the load boards. Okay? All right, we got 4 minutes. Any questions? I hope I didn't scare you guys too much. I'm getting texts from brokers now. I should have called one of my carriers while I had you on the phone, or the guys on the conference call. But Let's see. Please congratulate Linda for Wednesday. What happened Wednesday, Linda? Because I had canceled the class, so is Linda still on here? What happened Wednesday? You got the carrier under agreement, that's what they're saying? Yeah, I'm not sure what happened Wednesday with Linda. And if Linda, you can help us, or Al, enlighten me what happened with Linda on Wednesday. She must have booked the loads.
No, Linda conducted some practice sessions with the students who showed up.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then Moni said, is there a penalty if load isn't on schedule? You mean if the carrier delivers like late? It depends on, that's why you got to read the rate confirmation. Sometimes it's explained in there a little bit, like they may charge a certain penalty for being late and things like that. That's why you read the carrier packets and the rate confirmation. Some do, some do not. Some say if you're going to be late. That's why they do the check calls. Sometimes brokers do check calls with either the carrier themselves or the dispatcher representing the carriers. They'll do a check call, say, hey, what's your ETA? Well, my carrier is about 30 minutes out, or my carrier is going to be late because there's a traffic jam. So sometimes being late could be for unforeseen reasons. Sometimes it may be out of your control. So that's why the check calls, you want to be honest with the broker and let them know that, okay, my carrier's ETA is 20 minutes, 15 minutes, or he's running behind because. And then the broker's going to, the reason why check calls are done because the broker needs to update their customers, the shipper. So because the shipper wants to know where's the freight, you know, why the carrier's under the load. They want to know where their load is or where their freight is. That's their freight because the shipper's customers is paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to have this load delivered to where it needs to get to so they can make their money. So it's a chain of events for the reason why things are done in this business. So the check call serves that purpose. They do check calls to make sure that the carrier is delivering on time, or if there's anything that's happening to let them know up front. Don't wait to the last minute to tell them because now it puts the broker in a bind and they got to tell the shipper. The broker runs the risk of losing that shipper. Then it trickles down and it goes to the broker and it's going to trickle down to the carrier with penalties and things like that. So, all right, guys. There's any other questions? It's 1 o'clock. I got to get over here to this nursing home, check on my mom. But any other questions and comments? I hope I explained it to you guys pretty clearly, and I also hope that that zip file could be helpful for you guys. Yeah, you can call me James. What question do you have, James? Is it in regards to this or something else? Because, James, you're on this platform, right? You're on Dispatcher 101, correct? Okay. All right. All right. No more questions? All right. Let me sign out of everything. And you guys have a good weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday for Dispatcher 101. I'll see the members for Freight Broker 101 for tonight. So, okay? Okay, James, yeah, my number's there. Go ahead and give me a call. All right, guys.